Welcome everyone back to Forward Operating Base Lake Fork. I am Greg Hill. I'm your host of your fishing show today. Look, it's October the 26th. November's almost around the corner. You know, Halloween's coming up. Here's your fishing report for this week. But I apologize for not getting him out for the last couple weeks, last 2 weeks. I've just had problems with my camera again, trying to get the format, and then use a different codec. It's kind of technical, but use a codec for the video, and then my computer couldn't use it, so all kinds of issues. But maybe I've got it worked out now. Maybe. I guess I'll keep trying. But I just want to get into that fishing report, let you know what's going on. Fishing, been guiding this last week, 2 weeks, and some of the days were pretty hard days. We managed to get some fish, and managed to pull out some decent sized fish, but the numbers hadn't been great. Best day was probably 8 to 9 fish. Then we had, I think we had 12 one day on another trip. But the biggest fish in those days is in the 5 to 7 pound range. So we were able to find a big fish, but just the numbers of fish just haven't been great. And we've been catching them all the way from 3 feet deep to 18 feet deep. So, and I'll get into it, and I'll show you the lures that I'm using on what I'm catching the bigger fish on. I just caught a nice one today. Same thing. I've fished all over the place. Finally pulled one out of a tree, and then pulled one out of the grass. The difference between 14 feet and 3 feet deep. So, just kind of, the fish are just all over the place. So, I'll get to the basics. So the water is headed back down again, and the water level, we're about 2.2 feet low right now. And you can tell when you're looking out the lake, there's a lot more stumps you can see. And you got to be careful when you're running out here, because some of the places you may have run before, the stumps there's more stumps that are just below the surface. So be careful if you come out here and you're running around. The water temperature is sitting right around 73 degrees right now that I saw. I saw anywhere from 71.5 to 73 today. So we'll just see how that goes. We're going to get some rain. I think some heavy wind coming up for the next couple days. So we'll see if that cools it down enough, so it cools it off some more. But so I know we had the tournament, the big tournament that came up. Berkeley was there. They had a number of overs caught, but I wouldn't say there was a huge number of them. Some of the weights that were weighing in fish were, fairly low, down, like 2.0s and stuff like that. Usually, it's 2.2 or 2.3 sitting down the bottom, but, now it's different, or it was different for that tournament. And I know that afterwards I was guiding the next day, look, the lake got hammered, and we caught some that day. We caught two actually nice big fish that day coming out of trees, but the fish definitely kind of do what they do. They pull back off a little bit, and they were suspending in a lot of trees out in the coves and stuff. And obviously, to do that kind of fishing, you can just go through and throw the baits, a crankbait or spinner bait, to cover the water, and that's what you end up doing. Or if you have the electronics like the Garmin system, you can go out and you can kind of pick your way through it and look for concentrations of fish and do it that way. So, but I'm going to get into some of these baits, and it's everything from worms to spinner baits to crankbaits, to chatterbaits, to swim baits. So, wow, when you get like that in the day, and flukes, soft plastics, when you get days like that you're really, really working the area and trying to get your lure in front of as many fish as you can, you throw a lot of different baits. And not only that, the turnover started again in some places, so the visibility had gotten bad, then got better, and then got bad in some places, and it's just starting to get better in some places too. Down the main lake, it looks pretty good in most places right now, but up in some of the coves, the visibility has gone down again. So it's kind of, you really got to search around if you're looking for that. But I've got a set of lures I've been throwing that even in the poor visibility areas, I think it's helping the fish see the bait. It's helping them catch it. So I'll go right into it. So look, worms. Look, I'm throwing still everything from the big 10-inch, big 12-inch bloodworm, for a Berkeley power bait. And then I'm throwing a trick worm, I'm throwing a finesse worm on my drop shot, just a Zoom red bug, little 6-inch, worm. It's a little less than 6 inches maybe, but that's been using for my drop shot baits. I've been wacky rigging it for the most part. So that's what the wacky rig had been getting my bites. A bass just jumped out of the water right here in front of me on the other side of the camera. You guys get a chance to see it. So look, I'm fishing those in the deeper water. Some of my worm bites I've got a worm bite from 3 feet, but it's a different worm. But these two berms usually in 5 to 10 to 12 feet of water for those worms. And then going up and fishing grass. Look, we were working some grass. I was throwing a lot of reds, and it just wasn't working. I went to a June bug colored, zoom way. We were casting in the same place. For my customer was casting in there. I changed the bug. We threw it in there and got it on the first bite on that. So and then later on, I've got a couple more bites on these too. So the darker colors, and that gets into it. Look, those reds are really good when you've got some sun and some visibility. But when you get in this darker water, you got to have a bait they can see. You got to have a darker bait or a brighter bait, something like that. That's the same thing that happens to your crankbaits, in the crankbaits and everything, chatterbaits. So I'll go into spinnerbaits. So the spinnerbaits. Look, I'm throwing white spinnerbaits with white blades. I'm also throwing a white chartreuse, with painted white chartreuse blades. You'll notice when it happens when you see these, you'll come through these water, and these blades, they make almost a strobe effect. They didn't get the sunlight because there's not much sunlight flickering off those things. But when you got those painted blades, it's almost like a little strobe moving through the water out there. They'll feel the vibration. They can home in on it. And they come in and hit it. And that's what I've been throwing for the spinnerbaits. And like I said, I've got a white one also, same size. I'm throwing 3/8 and half ounce spinnerbaits. I'm throwing a very large spinnerbait to go down deep. So if I'm working at deeper trees, I'm throwing a big 1 ounce spinnerbait. It's got a Lake Fork kicker trailer on it, and I can work that bait way, way, way down on the main lake, work on some of those trees. It's really good for getting there. So that's pretty much what I've been doing for my spinnerbaits. Like I said, I've been throwing mostly white blades in that white and chartreuse colors. Now for trailers, some of these I'm not throwing any trailers on at all. And then others I'm throwing like a double grub, like a kicker tail, and putting on those the white color for the most part. Look, you can always go with the chatterbaits. You've got the I'm throwing all the different types of chatterbaits too. So I've got the jackhammers, and I've got the one that's not a jackhammer, and I got the older one. So I still, to tell you the truth, I know the jackhammer to me puts out a little more vibration, and it gets on vibration a little quicker. So the normal, the older jackhammer, the older chatterbait, it'll get going, but you just have to take a little more time to get it going, to get it actually to get it to start vibrating well. So crankbaits. So look, throwing everything from all black crankbait in the morning, a little square bill, working that. And then I'm kind of moving through the day as I get to deeper water, and I've got a barfish pattern that goes about 10 feet deep, and I got a 6XD in the shad color that I'm working. Those are about the ones I'm kind of working through the different depth patterns. I've been throwing top water, but honestly, I've only got a couple bites. I don't know what. I just got bad luck with the top water right now, but I've been throwing top, and I haven't been getting that many bites on them, even in the morning. I've had better luck with the baits that just run into the subsurface. I've got a wake bait tied on. It goes through about maybe 2 or 3 inches, 2 to 6 inches under the water, and I've been getting bit on that, but I don't consider it get it at top water. So let's see here. So Senko type lures, I'm throwing this morning dawn color and the white. This morning dawn's coming more in the clear water. The whitish colors are coming over in the dark. In the darker color. And swim baits. Had a really big fish on a swim bait, and just throwing these Lake Fork trophy lures, just with a screw in like owner's type hook on it. And I'm throwing different colors. I've got this white and yellow. I'm throwing this kind of shad color, white and blue. And I'm throwing throws on underspins. So underspins, I don't have one out right now, but underspins are still biting or getting bites. I haven't got as big a fish on the underspin, but I'm still catching them on the underspin. It can work through those trees also. It can work through those brush when you're working some of these brush piles. So I got one fishing story to tell. I've got a couple fish stories to tell, but this one I'll tell because I don't want to keep it too long. So about 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks now, since I last did the report, man, I hooked into the biggest fish I've ever hooked into on the lake. And, I had a goal to catch a 12-pounder this year, and so far I haven't done it. This was, I think, my one chance to do it, and it was big. It was like 13 to 15 probably. It was the biggest fish I've ever seen. I got a 10.5 sitting on my wall at home, and it was noticeably bigger than that. So came on a white spinnerbait with white blades in about 10 feet of water on a wind-blown main lake hump, and I could see a couple fish down there. I was working the spinnerbait, the third or fourth cast, I bring it through there, I hop it off the bottom, and something just came out of there and just crammed it. I mean, I didn't even see it on the live scope. Didn't see it on my garment. Something just hit it. And immediately, you just could tell it was a huge fish. I mean, it loaded the rod up and started running away. And it basically just pointed itself away from me and just pulled out line. Like, zzz, zzz, zzz. I mean, it was like hooking at tarpon. And it just kept going. And now I know it's a big fish. I'm pretty lucky right now. I'm fishing through this kind of like a little area where it's a clear area, but there's trees on the left and there's not as many trees on the right. It was lucky because it was just going towards the deeper water, which is all clear of the trees. So I'm on the trolling motor and I'm chasing it down. I'm going after it, and I'm not getting any line. I don't remember. I mean it's just pulling the rag the whole time. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, and then it stops. I was like, okay, well I'm gonna catch up. I'm catching up. I'm getting some line, and then it kind of realized it was still a hook, I guess, and it started going away. And I had no control over this fish. It just kept going. And now this time it was coming up, and it was coming up and coming up and coming up. So I'm reeling. I got the trolling motor going towards it, and it came up. And I was probably, I want to say I was 50 feet away from it when it came up. It's the biggest mouth on a bass I've ever seen in my life. So, I mean, I was keeping calm, keeping fighting it. I'm good. I know it's not near any trees right now where it is. And then after it came up, it didn't jump. It was so big it couldn't jump. It came up, and just did this whoa, did that head wobble on there. And then it went back down and it just started taking line out again. I mean, there's no controlling this fish. And this time though, it went sideways. It went sideways right towards those trees that are on that hump. And I kept going at it. And it's a really windy day. There's only 2-foot waves out there. So I really couldn't go in there on these stumps. I'll smash the bottom of my boat on some of these stumps. I can't see them. The waves are just going through those stumps. And I'm getting as close as I can to it, trying to work through it, and I can tell it's still on there. I'm still pulling. That's still just pulling. I mean, I don't know if I ever stopped it from not pulling line. I had 17-pound big game on it. It's on a crankbait rod, so I can't put too much heavier than that, I guess. And, well, long story short, then it must have got the line wrapped enough, and it broke off, because then I didn't feel it anymore. I mean, I couldn't feel it. All the pressure kind of released out, and I came out, and line broke. So I think I had my big fish for the year, the ultimate big fish on the hook, and it couldn't get off. Now the moral of this story though is to just consider your gear. Look, I've got really good gear. I got top line quantum reels. I got the top line Temple Fork Outfitter rods. So besides having, just 50-pound braid on there, I'm really not sure what else I could have done. I can't run around with 30-pound line on my crankbait rod. Sometimes I use my crankbait and I use a spinnerbait on the same rod. They have the same kind of give when you take that big hit. So I don't really know. I mean, I played that catchback in my head 100 times. It took me about 10 minutes to compose myself after I lost that fish. I wasn't very happy. But anyway, so the bottom line is your gear. If you're coming out here to Lake Fork and you have a chance to really hook into a fish like that, and you're fishing with baits, that was a big 1/2-ounce spinnerbait. I'm fishing for big fish. I'm looking for, that's what I'm looking for. I'm really not out here trying to catch a bunch of unders. I'm just usually not doing that. And through the magic of camera, it's dark. Now, really, my bad camera just ran out of power while I was right in the middle of filming that. So I had to wait to charge it up and just kind of come back here and finish the video. But I was pretty much done. I just want to finish up, talking about the gear. But look, there's always a level of, you got to have the right gear. Obviously, the bait, it's a big fish like that. It's only going to hit certain baits probably. I mean, people do come out and catch them on minnows. So you just have to have a chance to get an opportunity to catch a fish like that. You just got to increase the probabilities you're going to land it by having the right gear. In this case, I was in the right area. It just took a long run to the left and got in those trees. Otherwise, I could have got that fish in the boat. And, it goes to tell you, like the guy that caught that 15-pounder during one of the tournaments this year, back in April, the end of the spawn, that fish took the bait out of bed and went straight under the boat out into the deeper water. It was jumping on the other side of the boat from where the fisherman, was fighting it. The line was going up and under the boat, and his partner was, I guess, calling into him to get the net, and it was jumping on the other side. So kind of had no control over it. And that's this fish that I didn't have any control over this fish at any time. I just didn't have control of it at all. I was pretty much, it was all luck, be able to get that fish in the boat, and my luck ran out when it got in those trees. So anyway, I guess that's the fish report for today. And look, I look forward to talking to you guys again. Send me some messages, anything you have ideas on, hey, what maybe you'd like to see about here at Lake Fork, and what you'd like to see some kind of videos about. So send me some messages, and I'll get back to you, and hopefully I can work out and get the videos done. So again, Greg Hill from Forward Operating Base Lake Fork. It's nighttime, but you guys have a great day and night fishing.